The story begins with a pair of twin sisters who were so identical that even their own mother couldn't tell them apart. So, to distinguish between them, the mother came up with a clever idea. She cuts the younger sister's hair short so they could be told apart. But a small accident changes both of their lives forever. Luckily, both survive and hug each other for emotional support. As they grow up, the elder sister named Future and the younger one named Unknown feel a deep connection to their names. When their mother was pregnant and found out she was carrying twins, she was shocked. But their father was overjoyed and instantly gave them these sweet names. These twins are so identical that only two people can clearly recognize them. One is their late father, and the other is their dear grandmother. When school age comes, their outer look is still the same, but from inside their personalities become different. The elder sister can solve equations up to grade 4, but she has to take medicine 4 times a day. The younger sister is completely healthy but is weak in maths. Both know each other's problems and dislikes. The younger sister hates maths, and the elder sister hates herbal medicine. Then they make a small secret pact. They start doing work by taking each other's place. This perfect switch game becomes their routine. Playing flute for each other, practicing piano, they do everything together. Every day they make a pinky promise. But there are some things that they cannot do for each other, and from then, their lives start moving on different paths. Future finds it easy to top in school, while Unknown tops during lunchtime. The one who had never received an award now becomes an athletic star. It seems like a bright future is in front of them, but at a turning point, Unknown fails. Years pass. The elder sister becomes a city elite, and the younger sister remains peaceful in her simple rural life. She works in a small village school as a kindergarten cleaner, but always stays happy and positive. Her mother often taunts her that she is just wasting time and that she should learn something from her smart sister. One day, the mother tells her to take food and give it to the vice principal of the school across the street. When Unknown sees that photo, in which there is a woman and her son, her heart suddenly starts to panic. She becomes confused whether the girl in the photo is Unknown or Future, because both had the same hairstyle. And at that time, no one could tell what the real identity was. At that moment, Auntie tells her, "Today, Hao Zhu is coming back." Auntie tells Unknown to stay for dinner, but as soon as Unknown hears that, her face immediately turns nervous. Without saying anything, she quickly leaves from there. But just as she reaches the gate, Hao Zhu comes from the front and they accidentally bump into each other. Unknown feels that Hao Zhu's style looks a bit different. His tie looked like it matched Mother's taste. Thinking this, Unknown's heart trembles once again. When she was leaving, Hao Zhu stopped her, and the thing that surprised the most was that Hao Zhu started asking about Future, the elder sister. But Unknown only said, "If you're so concerned, then go and ask Future yourself." Coming back home, Mother asked Unknown if she spoke to Future. Then Unknown said that Future is not picking up her calls, although Future had promised that she would come back this month to meet Grandma, because after the stroke, Grandma hasn't even gotten out of bed. Daily care is looked after by Unknown, who doesn't even work. But Grandma kept telling her, "Don't come every day." Unknown lovingly said, "Your stroke was serious. That's why I stay quiet so that you can rest, but I didn't realize. Sorry, Grandma. Please don't say this, okay? I promise I'll take care of myself. Please don't do this, and it makes me feel bad. I love you." Then Unknown called Future once again, and this time, finally, the call got through. She calmly told Future that Grandma's health is getting worse day by day, and if she has time, she should come visit once. Future stayed silent, and without saying anything, cut the call. Unknown felt a little sad, but Mom still takes Future's side, saying she has done a lot. The caretaker's salary, medical expenses, everything is sent by Future, even the monthly bonuses she sends home. Then Mom told Unknown, "Go to Seoul tomorrow and take some food items for Future." At night, Unknown, feeling a bit sad, went for a walk outside. There, she once again ran into Hao Zhu. Unknown asked, "Have you met Future recently?" Hao Zhu said, "We both work in Seoul, but we only meet sometimes. Seems like Future is in some trouble. But what exactly, I don't know." Unknown thought maybe Future is really busy with work because her health has always been weak since childhood, but she's always worked hard. Unknown asked, "But when she sees you, why does she run away?" Hao Zhu, maybe with a painful smile, said, "Maybe Future doesn't want anyone to see her weakness." Unknown said that she had spoken to Future over the phone during the day, but Future never shares her feelings. It's been more than a year since she last saw Future. Then Hao Zhu reminded her of something Grandma had once said. Hao Zhu quietly reminds Unknown of a childhood memory. When Future was admitted in the hospital, the whole family took turns staying with her. But the one Future waited for the most was Unknown. Maybe Future felt relaxed only in front of Unknown. Only with her, she had the courage to show her true emotions. Hearing this, Unknown stays silent. Many thoughts were going on in her heart. On the other hand, when Future comes home, she looks at the food Mom made and also sees an old photo of the twins on the mirror. At that moment, Unknown also goes into deep thought. The next morning, Unknown decides that she will go to Seoul and meet her elder sister. When Future sees her, she gets happy and with a rare smile takes her to a trending dessert cafe. But at that moment, a waiter accidentally gets hurt and Unknown quietly stays seated there just because she wanted Future to feel comfortable. She feels like Future's mental state is a bit unstable, but there were no extreme signs. But when Unknown returns from the washroom, she sees that Future is not there. She gets scared. Unknown immediately runs towards Future's dorm, and there she sees that Future was really about to jump from the rooftop. Luckily, Unknown arrives arrives just in time and pulls her back. Then Future finally speaks her heart, that her job only looks glamorous on the surface, but inside she's a victim of workplace bullying. Her colleagues ignore her as if she's an invisible employee. Unknown angrily says, "Quit such a toxic job." But Future neither wants to resign nor transfer. She doesn't know what to do. At night, Future comes to drop her at the station, but Unknown feels heavy-hearted. She feels that if Future keeps living like this, she'll fall into depression. So, Unknown turns back again and takes a solid decision. I'll do something for Future. Unknown decides that she will work in Future's office in her place. Both of them make a plan to switch identities. Unknown grows her hair long and Future cuts hers short, but Future refuses to dye her hair that flashy yellow color, which used to be Unknown's style. They decide they'll just say that Future dyed it black after coming to Seoul. Future carefully writes a thick guide for Unknown, in which office rules and do's and don'ts are mentioned. Unknown feels a bit confused. If Future was an invisible employee there, then why so many rules? Does anyone even care? Future just looks at her with a blank expression. Then Future asks Unknown, "And when I go to your village, what should I keep in mind?" Unknown laughs and says, "In the village, do whatever you feel like. No one cares." When farewell time comes, Future feels a bit uneasy. What if something goes wrong? But Unknown is confident. "Don't worry, I'll stay calm and responsible." Then they exchange phones and Future leaves. The next morning, Unknown struggles to get out of bed. The girl who always lived life comfortably was now going to become a hardworking employee in the big city. And anyway, this crazy idea wasn't anyone else's, but Unknown's own. And now, her new office life officially begins. But as soon as day one arrives, Unknown gets late on the very first day. Future had already told her to sit on the seat near the window, but Unknown did something else. She chose the soft cushion seat. The whole office was stunned. Everyone looked at her as if a big blunder had happened. Then Unknown, without hesitation, picked up a coffee that actually wasn't hers. Again, everyone started looking at her with awkward eyes, but Unknown was completely chill, not disturbed at all. Then she realized the coffee didn't have her special powder. But now that she drank it, what could she do? She couldn't spit it out. At that moment, she understood that to survive in the office, a thick-skinned attitude is necessary. But just then, the team leader came and directly gave Unknown a challenge. "Since you're here, give your opinion too." Unknown was a little startled, but luckily the boss was reasonable. She calmly said, "Next time, be better prepared." Then the meeting ended, but colleagues still kept making cold remarks. Someone said, "She can hear but doesn't understand. That's why she became the invisible employee." This was the first time Unknown felt the true office reality of Future, that stressful, suffocating environment in which Future lived every day. Now she understood why her sister had taken such an extreme step like trying to jump. On the other side, when Future was in the village, she woke up with a strange feeling, as if old colleagues had followed her here too, like ghost vibes. But then she woke up. It was just a bad dream. She thought maybe Mom had caught something, but luckily Mom hadn't noticed anything. Mom just praised her black dyed hair. The earlier yellow hair looked completely bad. Mom said the only reason she kept sending food again and again was to reduce her guilt. Future used to send money every month, so Mom just tried to repay a little by sending food. Then Mom told Unknown to go to the hospital and meet Grandma. That's when Future remembered that thing Unknown had told her at the station. Just take care of one thing, go meet Grandma twice a week. But Future was scared. What if Grandma recognizes her? After all, Grandma is the only one in the world who can tell the inseparable twins apart. But Unknown insists it's important to follow this rule. Future is still nervous, so she says, "There's a lot of work. I'll go after a few days." Then Future, struggling on a bicycle, reaches the farm. The owner there, Ching-ju, shows her a smart strawberry farm. Future asks, "What will I have to do in the job?" Ching-ju just smiles and says, "Work in your own style." Future becomes totally confused. This job feels next level relaxed. Unknown, who was just a cleaner, had now accidentally become a white collar. Every day just finishing work was enough. For Unknown, all this felt like a jackpot. But the next day, she gets bored. She keeps staring at the computer screen all day. And after 1 week, for the first time, that energetic girl realized that white collar life is actually like an open jail. To take a break, Unknown was about to stretch a bit, but just then the boss saw her. The boss gave Unknown a special external assignment, a secret duty that was different from the regular office routine. Unknown, already bored with daily desk work, happily agreed without thinking. But when she found out what the task was, her face dropped a little. She was told to convince a stubborn demolition resistor, someone called Ding Zihu, a person who refuses to leave their home under any condition. But still, Unknown, in her strange confidence, went there. As soon as she knocked on the door, a slightly angry auntie appeared from the front and without a second thought pushed her outside, then poured water on her head in the literal sense. Unknown couldn't understand that this mission would turn out to be so hard. On the other side, Future was also struggling at her job. She asked her boss if after the 1-week trial period, she would be officially hired now, but the boss coldly said another week of trial is needed. Future just stayed silent, and every day kept wandering here and there, doing random tasks like a confused bee. She herself didn't understand what she was doing. One day her eyes fell on an old broken chair, and she threw it away, thinking it was trash. But later, it turned out that the chair was something priceless to the boss. When the boss heard, he got extremely angry. He scolded Future, "I wanted a partner like you, not a cleaner." Future offered to get a new chair, but the boss said, "You don't even have sincerity." Then he said a deep line, "Some people never try anything new out of fear of making mistakes, and they never complete anything." Future's mood completely crashed. She felt both anger and pain. The boss didn't even remember her name, yet he was passing judgments on her nature. Future said, "You say I can choose my work, but in reality, you just push me aside and judge me." And saying that, tears started falling from her eyes. Even the boss looked a bit helpless, just couldn't say anything. And just as Future got on the cycle to leave, she suddenly fell, a complete four-legged fall. The boss immediately ran over, but thankfully there was no serious injury. Meanwhile, Unknown had already come to that auntie's shop for the 8th time, and like every time, she was thrown out again. But Unknown wasn't one to give up. She came again the next day, ready to hear taunts again. On the 10th visit, Unknown came to Auntie's house with a gift bag, but Auntie still didn't accept her. She threw her out again, and all of Unknown's tricks failed. Every effort of hers had gone in vain. That day, even the back of her foot got scraped. Blood came out. Unknown was now exhausted. She thought, why am I working so hard? Sitting in the AC office was much better. I foolishly took up this useless task. And just then, a familiar face appeared. Hao Zhu. As soon as Unknown saw him, her heart suddenly started beating fast. Then she realized maybe earlier Future had blocked Hao Zhu's calls, and now that phone was with her. Unknown reacted smartly. She calmly explained that she doesn't pick up the phone every time. Not all calls need to be answered immediately. She wanted to get rid of Hao Zhu quickly so that nothing awkward would happen. But Hao Zhu wanted to have a proper conversation, because for how long can one keep running from problems? So both decided to plan a proper meeting on Saturday. When Future found out about this, she was quite shocked. She was even more surprised when she learned that Unknown had already fixed a meeting with Hao Zhu. Unknown calmly said, "Don't worry, Hao Zhu thinks I'm Future." But Future reminded her, "You're forgetting, even during school time when we both covered our heads with towels, Hao Zhu could clearly tell who was who." Future strictly said, "Don't meet him. We had promised that we wouldn't interfere in each other's lives." Then once again she said, "I don't want you to meet Hao Zhu using my identity." But at that very moment, Hao Zhu's message arrives. The plan to meet at Guanghuamen on Saturday is confirmed. Hao Zhu remembers that moment when he saw Unknown. At that moment, he felt a strange heartbeat. The first time when Unknown and Hao Zhu met, they went near the Han River. It was a scenic place, and Unknown excitedly started taking photos. At that moment, a doubt came into Hao Zhu's mind. Is she Unknown? Because her excitement was like someone who had seen the Han River for the first time. Hao Zhu casually asked, "Is this your first time at the Han River?" Unknown lied. "I live in Seoul itself. How can it be my first time?" But Hao Zhu was still confused. "Then why so excited?" Unknown smartly said, "I've seen it from the train, but this feels different." Hao Zhu didn't think much. He said, "I don't come here often either." Unknown told him, "Take some time for yourself apart from work. Enjoy life." Then Unknown took Hao Zhu to show the most famous food spot at Han River, the 24-hour instant ramen machine. Koreans love ramen a lot. These machines offer unlimited toppings. Unknown was curious. What other toppings can be added? But the truth is, these machines are a small comfort for hardworking people. Unknown thinks, maybe this trend wouldn't work in her country. Over there, people prefer delivery more. Then Hao Zhu directly asked Unknown, "Why did you withdraw the internal report you submitted to the company? Did I have any role in that?" Hao Zhu tells that when the whistleblowing happened in the company, their law firm had to investigate. And on that day, he was randomly assigned to the same case. When he saw that the complainant was Future, he didn't even open the file. Unknown's heart stopped for a moment. She felt that maybe something more serious had happened with Future beyond just bullying. Hao Zhu was speaking genuinely. He wanted to help. He said, "The internal matter is over, but the civil lawsuit might still make some impact." Unknown remembers how many times Future had said, "Don't interfere in my life." But now Unknown herself finds herself involved in her life. She quickly says, "I'm busy with a new project now, and honestly, my withdrawing the report had nothing to do with you." But Hao Zhu's senior had warned him, "You know the complainant, so emotional bias can come into this case." Unknown tells him, "You're still the same. Keep everything inside." Like a little schoolboy who got something in his shoe but can't say anything. During school time, Hao Zhu used to write fake wrong answer notes just to meet Unknown, even though he didn't make any mistakes. Ramen gets finished, and just as Unknown is about to go home, Hao Zhu proposes one more thing. Unknown made a plan to watch the Han River fountain show with Hao Zhu, and when he said that he remembered how Unknown used to go home after watching the fountain, Unknown got surprised. "You remember such a small thing too?" But as soon as Unknown reached home, Future's call came. Unknown lied. "I went alone to Han River to see the fountain. That's why I got late." She thought to ask Future about her real struggles, but the words came to her lips and stopped. She said nothing. Next day, Mom said she had to go out for some work, so she told Unknown to go to the hospital and meet Grandma. Unknown half-heartedly left for the hospital, and as soon as she stood in front of Grandma, Grandma immediately recognized, "Your Future, I remember everything." Even though her eyesight had weakened, she instantly recognized the difference between her two granddaughters. Grandma said, "What you are doing is absolutely right." At that moment, stress was increasing at Unknown's office too. The team leader was irritated at her because she still hadn't managed to convince the tough demolition auntie. Earlier, she had spoken confidently in front of leadership, and now there were no results. Unknown thought, now she just has to gather courage and go again. She went back to the auntie's shop, kept requesting, kept explaining, but auntie was as hard as a rock. Once again, she picked up salt and threw it on Unknown. Maybe Unknown was one of those people for whom that song was written. "They throw mud at me and I bloom lotuses from it." Yet Unknown didn't lose courage. She decided she would go again tomorrow. Meanwhile, Hao Zhu called. He invited Unknown again to meet at Han River. He calmly apologized. He told her the case that had come to his firm earlier wasn't a coincidence. His senior had intentionally intentionally assigned it to him because he knew that he and Future were from the same school. Though what had to happen, happened. But Haoju was genuinely saying, if you ever need help, I'll do my best. He said he would now rethink his past to see what he might have missed. Unknown thinks, I wish I could also write down the mistakes of my past. Maybe my life would have been something else. And just then, her phone rang. It was the same auntie who had rejected her again and again. Now she herself had called and said, come to the shop tomorrow. Unknown's genuine sincerity had finally touched Auntie's heart. Her heart jumped with joy. And now, Haoju finally 100% confirms that this girl is not Future, but actually Unknown. In just one glance, his heart said, she's the one. No matter how much Unknown denied it, her every action, every energy, everything was just like Unknown. But Unknown quickly reacted. Can't I even jump in happiness? What if I'm happy? Can't Future ever be happy? Haoju got a little confused, couldn't say anything, just smiled and awkwardly apologized. Unknown thought this was the right time to make things clear. She directly told Haoju, you always think you're right, like you have an answer to everything, as if you're a walking answer sheet. She said, Future and I are two different people. Please don't say such things again, even as a joke. Hearing this, Haoju didn't say anything, just quietly walked away from there. But Unknown felt Haoju had understood everything. It was clearly in his eyes that he had recognized that this girl wasn't Future, but actually Unknown. Maybe all the words he said afterward were only meant for Unknown to hear. When Unknown saw the scene of him leaving, her heart felt heavy. She remembered, from childhood till today, she never got close to anyone's heart. Even her mother only saw Future, who topped in every field and never even noticed Unknown. But one day, her life changed when she saw Haoju in the flat opposite hers. Slowly, he became her first and most precious first love. The bond between the two was subtle, sometimes smiling secretly by making eye contact, sometimes crying together. It was like there was a closed door inside Haoju, and when Unknown tried to peek behind that door, her heart would start racing. Unknown was sure Future would never fall in love with Haoju, but still, her heart stayed anxious. What if the door that only she had opened, one day Future also opened? She had never even imagined that one day, while she was participating in the national track meet, she would see Haoju and Future tightly hugging each other in the middle of the race. Because of this shock, she missed the race, and her dream of joining the national team was shattered. That door closed for her, forever. Door closed. Then, Unknown happily went to Auntie's shop, where she had been putting in efforts for so many days. After 99 trials, Auntie's heart had finally started melting. But just when she thought the case was closed, Auntie turned and said, that call I made yesterday, it was only out of sympathy. I'm not selling the house. Unknown was shocked. Auntie clearly said, I live just to keep life going, and you're the same, but now I won't throw salt on you. When Unknown returned to the office, she again got scolded by the team leader. The boss said, if you don't have the skill, don't take such tough assignments. However the deal is, you have to complete it. Unknown once again fell into thought. She rewound the entire day, remembered every time she met the auntie. She observed Auntie's routine was limited only from home to shop and shop to home. No relatives, no friends, just alone. But one day, Unknown saw Auntie closed her shop early. She got a little curious, so she started following her quietly. And then she saw Auntie was actually going to a poetry reading class. There she heard a poem, Shuang Yue Ji Hai, The Sea of Twin Moons. That poem stirred something deeply in Unknown's heart. Even if she looked carefree from the outside, the pain and loneliness inside her had never really gone. When Auntie saw Unknown there, she was shocked, and Unknown ran away. Feeling a little guilty, Unknown asked Haoju, is it illegal to follow someone? Haoju calmly explained, if you follow someone in a public place, it's not a crime. But if it happens repeatedly, the other person can file a harassment case. A single incident isn't illegal. Unknown finally took a deep breath of relief. The burden in her heart felt a little lighter. Haoju calmly suggested, you should go and apologize to Auntie once, so the matter doesn't become more complicated. But the biggest twist came when Haoju revealed that Auntie used to be my school senior. And not just that, she's also a famous poet. Unknown was left shocked. A simple kitchen auntie who cooked just rice and soup every day turned out to be part of society's elite. Unknown felt a little awkward because she herself was a weak student in school, and she didn't even remember how she gave the college entrance exam. And the shock in her eyes grew even more when Haoju told her that in a Korean university, there's even a scholarship named after that auntie. I myself was a recipient of that scholarship, Haoju said. An idea suddenly sparked in Unknown's mind. Will you come with me to meet her? Maybe both of us together can solve the problem. But Haoju clearly refused. This goes against the company's interest, and both of us are struggling workers. And even if I go, what will I do? Maybe Auntie won't even remember me. He further explained. Anyway, I'm weak when it comes to dealing with people. And if we both go together, maybe the situation will become even more awkward. Haoju said, the person who knows how to open hearts is you, Unknown. You should go alone. But Unknown's thinking was different. According to her, she had never truly opened anyone's heart. People just got attracted to her because of a little bit of brightness. But as soon as that light fades, she becomes just a burnt-out sparkler, one that no one remembers. Meanwhile, Future decided she would now formally join the village farm job. Early in the morning, her ex-boyfriend was standing at the gate, exactly on time to pick her up. Future was confused. What new drama is this now? The guy calmly said, there's something important I want to show you. Future felt a bit irritated, but he took her to a place. There, he showed her a small mouse drawing, something something unknown had asked him to make before leaving. Seeing that drawing, Future's mood softened. Then, when they finally reached the destination, Future thought now she'd finally get rid of him. But the ex-boyfriend had no intention of leaving. "I'll come pick you up in the evening too," he said. Just then, the farm owner Qingju arrived and directly told the ex-boyfriend, "When the girl has already said no, what's the point of sticking around?" Qingju clearly said, "Exes like you are more dangerous than unknown strangers." Then Qingju himself offered, "I'll drop her home in the evening." And in the evening, Qingju kept his promise. But the twist was that he was still learning how to drive. The entire evening passed struggling with the clutch and gear. In the end, Future had to sit in the driver's seat herself. Qingju was a little impressed. "You never learned to ride a cycle, but how do you drive a car so smoothly?" Future laughed and said, "Riding a cycle requires feeling. In a car, you just have to pass the exam." Qingju agreed. "You're like a test drive guide, press one button, and the car moves." And then Future quietly said, "I'm an accident, but still, I keep moving." Qingju casually asked Future, "You don't have a car, and you don't ride a cycle either. But if you had a Mad Max-style bike, wouldn't that be cool?" Future just looked at him with a tired expression. Clearly for her, Qingju also turned out to be just another quirky guy like her ex-boyfriend. Meanwhile, Unknown, giving her full effort, came to Auntie's shop with a gift to apologize. She honestly said, "I don't know much about poetry, but yesterday's poem made me feel something." There were real tears in her eyes. This time, Auntie didn't ignore her reaction, and Unknown thought this is the right moment to tell her about Haozhu. Feeling a bit awkward, Unknown explained, "Haozhu stays busy, but he wanted to meet you." Auntie, in a cold tone, simply said, "Only people who want something bring gifts." Unknown felt a little sad. Just then, Auntie's phone rang. Unknown overheard her calling a cleaning lady who still hadn't shown up. Hearing this, a sparkle appeared in Unknown's eyes. "Cleaning? That's my zone!" Without asking anything, she immediately started cleaning. But Auntie came back and started scolding her. "No one told you to do all this, not the company, not me." Just then, Auntie noticed a small detail. Unknown's nail-picking habit. That one little thing changed Auntie's mood. Her inner anger calmed a little. She started saying, "Don't come here again. That company seems like a thief to me. I hate it." Unknown was once again surrounded by the same feeling. When someone shuts a door right in front of her, she remembered Haozhu had also once locked a gate like that in front of her heart. And in that very moment, the ex-boyfriend popped up again. This time, he directly proposed to Unknown in public. Out of anger, Unknown accepted the proposal right in front of Haozhu, just to prove that she doesn't give up. Back home, Unknown angrily tore off her plaster. She decided, "I'll get into college with my sports skills." But because of that impulsive step, her entire athletic career ended. The injury was permanent. But instead of lovingly explaining things to her mother only worried about her future livelihood. In her mother's eyes, there was only one important child, Future. Just then, the phone rings. Haozhu invited Future for a night snack. Future thinks it's a special meeting, but after arriving, she finds out it's an old classmates reunion. Ruiyun is there too, a girl who was Unknown's bestie during student life. But the moment Unknown's light dimmed, she was the first to walk away. Unknown finds staying there to be emotional torture, tolerating fake friendships, pretending to smile. It all feels like acting. Ruiyun offers, "Come on, I'll drop you at your destination." And in the car, she starts showing off her rich lifestyle. To her, Future's public sector job seems boring. Then she casually mentions Unknown's name. "It's been so long since I saw her. I miss her. I used to be her #1 fan." Unknown is left shocked. What actually happened back then? Soon, Unknown reaches Auntie's shop. Auntie asks, "Why are you here this late at night?" Unknown just gave some random excuse. She thought she had finally gotten rid of Ruiyun, but the next day brought an even bigger problem. At the office, the boss said, "Next week, officially invite Auntie to the company meeting." Unknown once again became tense. Auntie had already clearly refused to be disturbed. On top of that, Zayuan kept calling Unknown again and again. Unknown's phone rings, and she's shocked when Zhuan tells her that he's on his way to Auntie's restaurant. Turns out the company is planning a nostalgic dining project, and Auntie's traditional-style restaurant is a perfect fit for that concept. Unknown's heart boils like a mosquito stuck in water on a boiling stove. Without wasting time, she immediately takes a taxi and runs toward the restaurant. Running with full force, she finally stops Zhiyuan outside the door. But she didn't know. Auntie, hearing the voices, came storming out in anger and practically broke the gate. Auntie's fiery mood was rising again, and Zhiyuan standing there was only adding fuel to the fire. Unknown had already warned Zhiyuan. Auntie doesn't like superficial people at all. But still, Zhiyuan insisted, "I genuinely want to talk to her about a collaboration." At that moment, Auntie noticed Unknown's nail-picking habit, that same little anxious movement. Seeing it, Auntie paused for a moment. Her own past came flashing back. Her heart softened a bit, and without any drama, Auntie extended a hand of support toward Unknown. Unknown was shocked. This was the first time that angry Auntie showed her soft side. Auntie didn't scold her, didn't blame her. She simply said, "No matter who lied, when the truth comes out, it hurts everyone." Auntie said, "This time, consider this your reward for doing your job." Unknown genuinely said, "I truly didn't want to disturb you. I'm only here because the company asked me to invite you." Tears of joy flowed from her eyes because she never imagined that this impossible door would ever open. Earlier, no matter how much she tried, Auntie never felt anything, but now it seemed as if Auntie had changed into a completely new person. Meanwhile, Future was also facing an emotional revelation. Qingju told her, "That chair you threw away, it was a keepsake from my grandfather. He used to think all those old things were useless. But when his grandpa passed away, he understood that the The things he had impulsively discarded now held more meaning. Qingju genuinely apologized for his actions. Future reacted maturely. She agreed to have dinner with him. People on the outside see Future as a soft, confused, weak girl, someone who disappoints others just by existing. But Qingju didn't treat her like that. He calmly shared dinner with her. At that moment, Haozhu also came to the auntie's restaurant for the first time. When auntie found out about his identity, she was a little shocked too. Just then, Unknown arrived back at the restaurant, and she saw this soft, emotional moment. Unknown softly asked, "Had dinner?" Haozhu smiled. Dinner was okay. Unknown had never seen auntie this warm and welcoming. Maybe there are moments in life when a person's heart opens up for no reason. Unknown felt a little confused. "You said there was a conflict of interest, then what are you doing here?" Haozhu calmly replied, "There's no conflict now. I've resigned from my job." Unknown was shocked. "What? When?" Haozhu confidently said, "Now I can do anything. You just don't worry. I'll help you." In that moment, one more thing was confirmed in Unknown's heart, the thought she had all along. Haozhu had already figured everything out. He had identified that Future and Unknown had swapped identities, but he chose to stay silent and silently offer his support because at some point, Unknown had meant something special to him. Unknown had always been the white moonlight in Haozhu's most beautiful memories, his quiet light. Back in school, just so he could walk with Unknown every day, Haozhu used to precisely calculate his timing each morning so that their meeting would always look like a natural coincidence. And today, Unknown decided to attend her school reunion disguised as Future. But right outside the gate, her steps froze. Her heart began to panic. There was a time when Unknown was the most admired student in school, but after an accident, people remembered her only as a failure. Everyone thought her future was finished, that she might end up marrying some rich idiot from a village and just settle down. But Unknown gathered her courage and walked into the hall. After a while, the conversation turned toward Unknown again. A classmate asked, "What is she doing after quitting athletics?" Someone said, "I saw her lifting boxes in a supermarket." Another added, "Didn't she become a cleaner at some school? Amidst are boring. I didn't see any happiness in them." The next morning, Unknown had scheduled the company meeting with Anta, but despite calling multiple times, Auntie wasn't picking up. Worried, Unknown went to Auntie's house, and upon entering, she saw that Auntie had collapsed on the floor. That scene reminded her of the moment her grandmother had a stroke. Unknown got so scared that her breathing became heavy. She was literally about to collapse herself. Just then, Haozhu explained, "No, it's just a light back injury." Unknown finally breathed a sigh of relief. "I thought I brought on the stroke myself." Her heart was filled with fear. If Haozhu hadn't arrived on time, maybe everything were and forcefully dragged Unknown outside. Mom shouted in anger, "Why did you cut the phone line? You've turned your room into a jail." Unknown was broken from inside. She felt like this room had become the prison of her reality, one she could never escape from. She calmly said, "Mom, you never understood my emotions. As long as I was in athletics, you used to see me. When I quit, you became Future's mother again." Her mother scolded her. "Now you're going to count this too, that I gave birth to you?" And in that rage, Mom even hit Unknown. If Grandma hadn't arrived on time, something terrible could have happened. Grandma calmly explained to Mom, "You can never fix things by forcing children. Give it a little time. Everything will be fine." When Mom finally left, Grandma lovingly sat beside Unknown and started consoling her. Grandma said, "Just take care of yourself, eat properly, and come visit me sometimes. I have enough money to support you your entire life." A storm of tears swelled in Unknown's eyes. In exhausted words, she said, "Grandma, the phone line had already been cut by her long ago. That's why she couldn't get Grandma to the hospital on time, and her condition turned critical." That moment became the deepest guilt for Unknown. It became a wound in her heart. Grandma is on that bed today only because of me. Later, Haozhu asked Unknown, "Why was your breathing so fast? What happened?" Unknown stayed quiet. She only said,